Hi there, my name is Kat Weiss, and this is my house in Livermore, California. We purchased the property 4 years ago, and it had a lot of existing plants on it. It had a fake lawn, which they had transitioned to star jasmine. You can see in the background pepper trees. There's Kaleonema, the breath of heaven, some of the Chinese razzleberry, loropetalum, and several mock oranges and boxwood. And initially I thought, okay, we need natives here, but I didn't want to rip it out full scale. So what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit of transition landscaping, where we can make some choices and transition our home landscapes to natives bit by bit, so it's not quite a shock for the homeowner or the neighbors. This is a parkway strip that was planted in almost exclusively society garlic, that little number, and I'm trying to transition it sort of plant by plant to some Salvia spathacea, the hummingbird sage, sorry, and I've got some deer grass going. There was quite a bit of rosemary. Not that I don't like rosemary, but maybe we just need one. And we can add more Arctostaphylos uva ursi, Massachusetts, or perhaps Arctostaphylos Point Reyes. There's some more deer grass. And if we look over here, got a really big breath of heaven. And it looks big and flush right now because it's spring. This is probably going to be its last year here. And it looks quite fun next to this razzleberry loropetalum. But I would really like to see some sages, some artemisia, some mimulus. So I've started transitioning with a black sage, some artemisia pycnocephala, sage scrub. I've got a lepidopteronia fragrance here, pitcher sage. I've got a brandigee sage. So what I did was to build this mound over the old star jasmine and to begin to transition here first, as I ripped out all the star jasmine and some other invasives that we had. And this is step 2. What happens when the breath of heaven and the loropetalum go away? Well, I've got a little Louis Edmonds manzanita waiting to peek out to get some sun. Oh, there's my shadow. And we've got some locally native Grindelia stricta. This is going to be full of bright yellow sunflowers. I'm also working on transitioning in a little blue jeans wild lilac and some more ground cover manzanitas to take the place of this once very large lavender. And while I still have the lavender, I was working on getting this sticky monkey flower going, Mimulus or Antiochus. As well as some little buckwheats, Eriogonum parvifolium, waiting for them to burst into action. I've also got some Mendocino reedgrass here that I've kind of sprinkled all over. So partially what I'm thinking is I took out some of the lower stuff and I've incorporated some natives, as I also incorporate some taller stuff. Here's a cute little blue oak, Quercus douglasii, that I am waiting for it to do its fun stuff. And this is the tail end of the Bouteloua gracilis blonde ambition, with these super fun little mustache inflorescences. This is mixed in an area where there was a ton of lavender stochas, the Spanish lavender, and some of these other lavender seedlings. A ton of Santa Barbara daisy, which is kind of needing some pruning. So here it was a perennial bed that I thought I could just transition to some different grasses. There is going to be a desert willow. He's only 1 foot tall right now. And that's gonna sort of grow up and be the canopy for this area right here along with my blue oak. So there's the wall that I built to raise up the grade level a little bit, get a mound going. And here's one of the manzanita, ground cover manzanitas, emerald carpet, which was already here. So this was awesome. And I'm just gonna transition some more of these guys. And next on the chopping block is gonna be the mature mock orange, because I foresee this area as a haven for ribes, the currants, and some other semi-shade lovers. And here's another big decision. What happens when little Mr. Squirrel brings you a little acorn, little hybridized Quercus agrifolia, coast live oak hybrid. And then there's a pistache here, this Chinese pistache, which is a knockout in the fall, but frankly, who is it doing any good for other than me for about 3 weeks? So, do we take out the nearly mature pistache and allow room for Mr. Oak? And I say yes, because if you have all watched Doug Tellemy's talk, you realize this oak can provide a home and food for hundreds of little critters and creatures, where I'm not really sure how many are gonna really take advantage of Mr. Pistache. So this is sort of my transition attempt. I cut off a few branches to allow more sun to Mr. Oak, and we're just gonna see what happens, but it's a big decision. The other thing I'd like to transition out are these pepper trees, which look pretty swell next to my country fence. But again, are they really offering much food or cover to any of the creatures around here? And instead, could I incorporate some more baby oaks? Could I get some large-scale manzanitas going as I think about taking out this last star jasmine? Can I think about ninebark? Can I think about this dark star ceanothus to transition out as I get things going? Little John Dorley manzanita to take over where a star jasmine or some ivy would have been. Other options for ivy substitutes: more of the manzanitas, evergreen currant, which is Ribes vivernifolium, appreciates a little shade because it likes to hang out in the edges of woodlands. Maybe I can take out this non-native mirror plant and I can bring in some Rus ovata or Rus integrifolia, the sugar bush and the lemonade berry bush. And again, maybe I can take out my pepper tree and allow my little oak baby to do his thing. There's lots of decisions you can make along the way to just take one thing out and transition to a more ecologically sound and rich environment. Oh, look at that. Right on cue, a little bird went by. And this is my last area that I was going to show you. I'm transitioning out this mock orange to a Galvesia speciosa. This is some red fescue, fescue molate, blended with Idaho fescue. And here we are back again with our black sage. So Mr. Breath of Heaven is going to disappear. And again, we're going to bring in some white sage, sticky monkey flower, which is more akin to this area around here. I'm going to bring in some more grindelia for some nice yellow. I'm going to bring in some seaside daisy. I've been playing around with different buckwheats as well. So these are all some great ideas as we appreciate the landscape we've got, but maybe think about what comes next.